Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. We're here with Stephen Withy, who's the MD of the Together Group in Wetherby. How you doing, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm good today. Thank you very much. Good to meet you.
And you, and you. So if you could start us off and just give us a bit more background as to who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for, please, Stephen.
What did you say? My name's Stephen Withy. I'm the managing director of the Together Group Construction Limited. We are a construction company, and basically we build schools, health, and hotel retail for people whoever has the need to engage our services. We've been doing it now for since 2000 within the company as it stands now. I've been involved in the industry for 37 years now. So I first started
Good.
on a project called the West Yorkshire Playhouse in Leeds. That was my first project that I ever did,
Oh, wow.
and it went on from there. So yeah, we've sort of come a long way, in the industry, and seen a lot of changes throughout that time. Yeah, things are reasonably good at the moment. We've got a few things in the pipeline, so we're focusing on those.
Good stuff.
There's always challenges, like with any business, but yeah, all good.
We'll unpick a few of those in a moment. But since 2000, what was your kind of driver for starting the business then? Were you in a job role before that and then go it alone, or how
Uh,
did it
so
transpire?
I'd had a bit of experience. So we have sort of two sides of the business. We have to the industry, should I say? You have the contracting side, which is what I'm in now, and you have like a private side, which are those people that represent clients and look after clients' interests. And I've probably up till about 10 years ago spent an equal time working for clients and advising them and working for a contractor.
Mhm.
And actually, it was back in probably 2004 that I actually got a chance. I got approached by the current business owner then to take on the business. That was working in,
Mhm.
and I'd never thought of it before. Um,
Yeah.
so it sort of came by chance, really. Um, so we jumped at it. Me and another colleague, we jumped at it and went from there. Um,
Fantastic.
which was a great move at the time for a few years until 2008.
I was going to say the amount of time that you've been in business, you've seen a few ups and downs. What's the business journey been like to date, say, and in a word or two, and then expanding on that journey?
Yeah, as you say, ups and downs.
Yeah.
I think the challenge was because I'd had ups and downs before.
Yeah.
Basically, when recessions had come along, first recession that I remember, sort of 91, and then later in that decade, things got a bit tighter. 2008 was probably the one that was the most challenging because of my exposure, personal exposure,
Mhm.
and the most traumatic because of what was going on in my personal life at the time. So that took its toll, did the 2008 one. Like anything, you've been working for yourself and you've been running a business, it's very difficult then to go back to working for somebody.
Sure.
Um, so I started the journey again, and then and had some great times for 5 or 6 years. So those were the ups, and then Brexit came, so, which made everything a bit more uncertain. And then got back on track again,
Yeah.
and then COVID came along, and there was panic. There was panic, like
Yeah.
there was for everybody with COVID. But actually, um, we had as a business a really good experience through COVID.
Mhm.
I had a really good experience through COVID, and we were just fortunate that we could carry on with business.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were really struggling, but we weren't. COVID really was a springboard for us after the challenges of Brexit and getting back on track. COVID really gave us a springboard to really look at the business in a bit more detail, fine tune the business and get really, really competitive to the extent that when we came out of COVID, we were really strong. We were really positive and we were really strong. And the reason, probably the biggest reason being, is that we were hearing horror stories about what was happening to various industries and individuals through COVID.
Yeah.
And then you look back and you think, wow, we got through that. And the strength that it gives you to move on, gaining that experience is invaluable. And you think, well, if we can get through that, then we can get through anything,
Yeah.
So you view things a lot differently in life.
That's it, that experience and the challenges and the opportunities. Yeah, there was a lot of businesses who did use it as a time to improve, having just coming out doing this for 3 years now. I remember speaking to people just out of the back of the pandemic, and you had some who had an advantage with it, and obviously some who it wasn't as advantageous for. But yeah, there was reflection time, I think you reminded me of, when some businesses used it as to get stronger, as you say. So in terms of the challenges and opportunities ahead for you now, Stephen, what would you say those are for your business? What can you predict and foresee as much as you can at the moment with the state of things?
Yeah, I think I think as a country we're still in a bit of turmoil, to be honest. We're seeing a lack of investment in various sectors. Education, which has always been a strong sector for us anyway, has decreased in its investment, and people will say, well, it's increased, hasn't it? And that's not what we're seeing on the ground. Funding is being pulled on education projects. Developers aren't developing as much, and it's uncertainty. And when you get uncertainty, especially in construction, then basically everyone pulls up the drawbridge and sits tight, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. And reading a few articles, speaking to a few people in the same boat. It's very challenging to get work in, but you do it nonetheless. You're fighting for the work that you need to get in, and I think it's going to be like that for another year yet, until things settle down in one way, shape, or form. And I think for me, it's all about trust. And actually, do we trust the government? Have we ever trusted the government?
Big question there.
I don't know. I without getting too political.
Yeah.
And I don't want to enter into that sphere because, to be honest, I don't know enough about it. I don't read up about it a lot anymore because I do get frustrated by it. And really, I would rather put my energy into making sure this business is doing as well as it can do, and not worrying about what anybody else is doing.
Yeah, great share. A great mindset to have. Control the controllables. So what would be your biggest lesson then? Would that be it? Or in terms of the business career to date and running your business, there's one lesson you could share that stands out for you?
I think it is. As you said, control what you can control. Do that. Don't overthink. Don't overthink it. Don't get past that. To a certain extent, yeah, you can plan for the future, but you don't know what's going to come. So you might as well just focus on what's going on now and what you can deal with now and what you can control now within your business, and put the focus, into that, rather than worrying about what may or may not happen, in the future, and trying to basically shape your own destiny, which you can do, and which we've started to do here. So we've been looking at not only working for people, but doing work for ourselves, via developments and things to try and smooth that out. And that's in our control.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's making sure that no one else is controlling your business, that you're controlling your business.
definitely. I kind of had a vision of you going through all the ups and downs as we talked about before, but with your focus on what you can control, which kind of always stays front and center of you, no matter what kind of happens. Does that make sense? That kind of ability to, I suppose, have a compass with which to work towards a sort of a goal up ahead, or a way of working, a focus. And so no matter what kind of comes along through the ups and downs, if you're always looking at that point, then you'll navigate whatever comes your way.
Yeah, and it's difficult sometimes. I found it very difficult going through what I did in 2008, which is effectively a trauma,
Yeah,
which is the way it affected me coming out.
sure.
I still um, bore the scars from that, and I had to start rethinking things over the last sort of 4 or 5 years because that's how much it affected me. So I was looking at risk in a very different way, and I was probably more risk averse,
Mhm.
more in an overthinking state all the time.
Yeah,
What ifs? What if this happens? What if that happens? And what that does, it prevents you making any decisions then, because you're
yeah.
too worried about what may or may not happen, and
Mhm.
then that stifles that then stifles your drive really, and your ability to make positive decisions. Um, and I think that's taught me a few lessons actually. But it took me 10 years to realize, over 10 years to realize that
Yeah.
was happening. You know,
Wow.
so yeah.
A good bit of reflection in the last few years.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt, yeah. And I've talked to people about it, not people, one particular person about it. That I realised that there was some things left over that I needed to resolve. You know,
Yeah.
and as with everything, when you are affected on a personal level, it's going to affect your business. There's
Yes.
no two ways about it. The two are very closely interlinked. So
To recognize that is vitally important, because we all carry things that we can reflect on in order to get clarity and move forward. But unless you recognize it and kind of can deal with it and move forward, then you may end up repeating habits or patterns, don't you, that you don't change.
and I think that's one of the biggest things that people will struggle with and do struggle with, because unless unless you realize that and go get help and speak to somebody, then you're going to be going through the same patterns all the time, and
That's
then you're
it.
going to be always constantly wondering, why is this always happening? Why is this always
Yeah,
happening?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not changing
Yeah.
my behavior, so it's always going to happen.
That's
You
right.
know?
That's
And that's quite difficult. It's
yeah.
quite difficult to realize that, to notice it, and then actually go do something about it as well.
That's it. Noticing it is one thing, and then doing the work about it is something else as well. So it's to be commended on that. In terms of your inspiration, Stephen, to do what you do, then to obviously we talked about 2008 and the impact of that for you, and to kind of carry on and come back and be where you are now. What is your inspiration? Why do you get out of bed each morning and continue to go to work?
Because the dog needs walking. No,
Feeding and have roof over its head.
yeah, I, I, we do a lot of work in education, and I always love education. Amongst all the clients that we ever work with, education and health, but education definitely is inspiring, and I've loved education. Not probably when I was at school, but since working in the education sector, when you are providing good facilities or extra facilities for an establishment,
Mhm.
and the joy that they have on their faces once it's complete is
Yeah,
always inspiring. And that space is going to be for the good of young people, and that's it. And I was involved in the school for 10, 11 years, and I enjoyed it so much. I could have been, I could have done that full time, because I
yeah,
enjoyed it so much. But seeing that's inspiration, and
Yes.
I suppose that's why I suppose I get disappointed sometimes with when I can see I can walk into a school or a college and I can see the underfunding that it has,
Yeah.
and and I know that potentially that's at the detriment to of young people's learning, adequate learning, decent
Sure.
learning, and I think that's still something that we seem to be getting so wrong.
Yeah. We could be veering off into that politics thing again.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. Yeah.
I totally get the kind of sentiment, and investing in young people and being inspired with what you can do to create a space for people to bring out the best in them, and that must be very satisfying and inspiring, as you say.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's one of probably one of the perks of the jobs, because when you finish a project, some people just take it as read. Well, you finished, and we'll just move in on Monday, and all well
Yes.
and good. But in education, it just seems to be more than that.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because they sometimes have a lack of new facilities. That any new facility they do get that makes their job easier, and also inspires their young people that they're being with, then they tend to be very, very happy, very,
Excellent.
very happy, which is great.
Yeah, that's what we like. Happy people. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
that's it. Yeah.
So just before we wrap things up, in terms of latest news about what you're up to, if there's anything else you wish to share, or even if it's a case of sharing your website, so if people would like to get in contact with you, they can. Feel free to do that now, Stephen.
Yeah, well, our website's usual www.thetogethergroup.co.uk. Go on there, you'll see a lot of the schemes that we've been involved in, and they have been very diverse. We've got a lot of experience in a lot of sectors. So and all I'll say is that because I have got a lot of experience, especially on the financial side of construction and technically. Even if people don't necessarily want to use it, just pick up the phone and give me a ring. Give me a ring if you've got a problem with anything, construction related. And I'm sure I can give you some great advice, free of charge, that may help you.
Excellent.
So,
We'll
yeah.
put that in the copy under the video, and direct anyone who's got an inquiry towards yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
It's been great talking with you, Stephen. Thanks for sharing all that you have, and I wish you all the best for the future of the business.
Yeah. And you, Mike, thank you very much for your time.